Hello guys, welcome to this new packet tracer activity. And in this activity, what we're going to do is we're going to troubleshoot some serial interfaces. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at these scenario. So you have been asked to troubleshoot when connections for a local telephone company, telco. The telco router should communicate with 4 remote sites, but none of them are working. Using knowledge of the OSI model and a few general rules to identify and repair the errors in the network. So the first part of it is diagnose and repair the physical layers, which are the cables. So examine the addressing table to determine the location of the DCE connections. Okay, so all the DCE connections needs to be connected to the telco, which is this router right here. So all these interfaces should have should be connected to the DCE, and on this end should be connected to the DTE. Sorry for that. Okay, so here we go. Each connection has a DCE and a DTE connection. To determine if each telco interface is using the correct end of the cable, look on the third line of the output following the show controllers command. Right, so we're going to do a show controllers and then do the interface to make sure that they are working or that they are plugged in correctly. Reverse any cables that are incorrectly connected. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So for this interface, let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead, go over here, make this bigger for you guys, enable and show controllers for this interface. And this interface is a DCE, so that's good. Let's see the other ones, which is show controllers. I think this one is the next one. Let me take a look at that. So you have one, and then this one, and then one. All right, let's take a look at that. As you can see, this one is also the DCE, so that's good. Let's take a look at the other one, which is 1, 0, and this is the DCE as well, so that's good. Let's take a look at the last one, which was this one. So this one is a DTE. That should not be the DTE. This should be the DCE. So let's go ahead and make sure which one is that one. So this one. Let's go ahead and delete it and reverse that. And we gotta use this one. And the first one is always going to be the DCE, and the second one is going to be the DTE. Okay, so that's good. Now we know that the serial interfaces are plugged in correctly. Okay, so the physical layer is good. Now let's go ahead and diagnose and repair incorrect port connections. So examine the addressing table to match each router port with the correct telco port. So this one, DCE is 0111, that's good. For this one is 001. Let's see if I connect it to the right one when I switch it. So 001. All right, that's good. So this is good. We are done with that. Now we have to diagnose and repair the data link layer, which is layer 2. So examine and set the clock rates on DCE equipment. All DCE cables should be connected to telco. We verify that. Show the running configuration of telco to verify that a clock rate has been set on each interface. Set the clock rate of any serial interface that requires it. And it doesn't tell you the clock rate. So we can just configure any clock rate, I believe. So if we do a show run, and we can see that this one has a clock rate, this one's a clock rate, this one's a clock rate. So they all have a clock rate right now. So 0001, okay. So they all have a clock rate, and it doesn't tell me the clock rate. This one doesn't tell us either. So I guess the clock rate is fine. So now examine the encapsulation on the DCE equipment. All the interfaces should be using HDLC as the encapsulation type. Examine the protocol setting of the serial interfaces. So show interface and then the type of serial interface number, and that way we can take a look at it. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. And none of them, I think they're all using HDLC since it's the default. And if it was using point to point, they were gonna say it right now, but none of them are saying. Let me see if we go to the routers. Let's do a show run from here. Okay. And 00 for that one. Let's see if that's the correct one. Yep, that's right. Let's see this one over here. Enable, show run. This one should be 001. So 001 has a clock rate, so we have to delete that clock rate because it shouldn't have a clock rate. So let's go ahead and copy. Config terminal. Let's go over here and say no clock rate. Okay, that's good. And we can see that this interface is down. Is this interface shut down as well? Yeah, this is the interface is not shut down. It's a shutdown on this side. Doesn't look like it's shut down. So what we could do is config terminal, and it has to be this interface right here. Paste it. Now shut down. It's still down. So what we could do is on this one, let's make sure that it's plugged into the right one. So, oops, it's 00. It's the 0 interface. This one. Okay, so I guess it was now plugged into the right one. Now it's plugged into the right one. Let's take a look at this one. 000 for router 3. It shouldn't be that one. Well, it should be that one. So 000 is good. So one of them is probably shut down. Let's verify that it's not shut down. Enable show run. Show run. Not show turn show run. And let's see. Yep, so this interface is shut down. So let's go ahead and now shut down that interface. Config T, paste, now shut down. Okay, that's up. Let's see if there's anything else. And we also see a clock rate. So let's go ahead and say no clock rate. Is this one a DCE? No, that's good. Let's do a show run. Do show run from here. Okay, and we can see right here that it does not have a clock rate. So that's good. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the last one. Show run from here. Enable. Oops, not in. It's enable. Show run. And this interface is using encapsulation. Let me take a look which one is supposed to be for router 4. Router 4 is 001. So 001 has a clock rate and also has a encapsulation. So let's go ahead and this encapsulation should be HDLC, right? So if we go config T, and we can just copy this one right here, paste it, encapsulation HDLC. Okay, no clock rate. Let's do a do show run from here. Make sure it doesn't have a clock rate and that is using HDLC. And there we go. It's not going to show that it's using HDLC because that's the default. So that's good. So they're all working now. let's go ahead and diagnose and repair the network layer. So show the brief interface and check the IP addresses against the addressing table to ensure that they are in the correct subnet with their connection interface. So we have to correct any IP addresses that are wrong. So if we go to the telco first, and let's just do a show run from here. And what I can do, I can just move it over here to verify that is in the correct IP address. So 0 interface 000 64 100 34 17 245 205 205 252, and it has a clock rate. That's good. 001 64 100 34 21, and that's good. And it also has a clock rate. 010 is 64 100 34 25 205 205 205 252. That's good. Let's take a look at the last one, which is 011. 011 has a 64 100 34 29, which is good. It's in the correct subnet, so that's good. And this one has a clock rate, so that's great. And what we could do now, let's go back and let's go to router 1. Make sure that this is the correct IP address for 001. So 000, so 64 100 34 17. So this one is supposed to be 18 instead of 17. So let's go ahead and configure that. Interface config T. This interface IP address should be 64.100.34.18/30. Okay, so now this one is good, and it's also does not have a clock rate, and it's using HDLC, so that's good. Let's go to router 2 now. Router 2, move it over here. Let's go ahead and do a show run from here and make sure that 001 is on that. So 001 has a 64 100 34 22, so that's good, and it's in the correct subnet, and it's not running point to point, it's running HDLC, and it doesn't have a clock rate. Okay, so router 2 is good. Let's go to router 3 now. Okay, so router 3 is on 000, and it has 64 100 34 26, and it's in the correct subnet, and it's not running point to point. That's good. So it's running HDLC, and it's not running the clock. So this one is also good. Let's take a look at the last router, which is router 4, and let's move it over here. And router 4 is 0 interface 001. 001 is 64 100 34 30 and 255 255 255 252. So this is good. It looks like they're all working right now. Let's see if we can check the results. See if we pass. And here we go. Congratulations. You successfully completed the packet tracer activity, troubleshooting 0 interfaces. Okay, so this is it for this video, and if you guys enjoyed my video, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I have a lot of videos. I have around 55 by now, and go ahead and subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, share it, and also follow me on Twitter at CCNA Daily Tips. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.